Donald Trump's legal team is about to leave a New York City courthouse after a hastily called hearing about the latest gag order placed on the former president in his hush money case. CNN's Caitlin Polantz is following these developments. Caitlin, what happened inside that courtroom?
Well, our team in New York is following this quite closely, and things are moving quite fast here, Dana. There was this appeal that Donald Trump, his team took to the court today over the gag order that he is under, where he can't speak about witnesses, court staff, the DA's office, even the judge's family. His attorneys in those arguments said he might be rude, but this isn't incitement. This is something that is causing Donald Trump irreparable harm. And there apparently was a request to delay the case on the table as well from his team. That's not going to happen, according to the reporting we're getting out of our team in New York. Just after that appeal was heard, we get the decision just a few minutes ago. There isn't going to be a delay of the trial because of this gag order issue. The DA's office was clearly successful in arguing to the appellate judge that the witnesses are hesitant, that this gag order is within the law. So there's going to be a flurry of things that happen as we await the beginning of this trial on Monday. And that flurry right now is Donald Trump's team making these requests to delay, to move the case out of New York, to challenge the gag order. And the appeals court in New York Supreme Court, they're looking at these quite quickly and giving same-day decisions.
Yeah, that I was just going to say, I mean, not only same day, like 5 minutes after the hearing was over. I want to stand by for 1 second, Caitlin. I want to bring in former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Elie Honig. Elie, what's your read on what just happened in that courtroom in New York?
Well, Dana, zero surprise on this one. First of all, even if there was going to be some modification, some change to the gag order made by the appeals court, that would have nothing to do with this trial starting as scheduled on Monday, April 15th. And second of all, this gag order is very narrow. It's actually quite remarkable to hear Donald Trump say it infringes on his rights or it's impeding his ability to defend himself, because all that the gag order does is it prohibits Donald Trump from commenting publicly about jurors, about witnesses, and then about court and prosecutor staff and family members. He is free, and he has taken full advantage of his freedom to attack the case, the judge himself, and the DA himself. So it's no surprise Donald Trump lost this one. And as Caitlin said, he's been losing these arguments really quickly. I think collectively the judges in the New York State system are sending a message that this thing is going on Monday and he's not getting out of it.
Yeah, it's hard to understand the Trump attorney argument that having him not talk about the judge's family or potential jurors is doing the former president irreparable damage. This is going to happen, it seems, in 6 days. So what's going to happen soon is, or first, is jury selection. I want to read a part of the questionnaire for potential jurors. Have you ever considered yourself a supporter of or belong to any of the following? The QAnon movement, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, 3 Percenters, Bungalow Boys, Antifa. Elie, can you, I mean, the question is pretty straightforward. The idea is they're trying to weed out people who are pro-Trump. We should also give some context. This is Manhattan, and this is a place where Joe Biden won by 86.7%, Donald Trump by 12.3%. I guess there certainly could be part of that 12.3% in the potential jury pool.
Yeah, Dana, this questionnaire is really interesting because it's doing a dance of sorts. What it's trying to do is figure out, where do you stand on Donald Trump? Do you have views for or against him that are so strong that you can't possibly rule fairly on that case? Now, they do ask that question straight up. Is there anything about your views of this case or Donald Trump that would keep you from answering fairly?
We can put that up. Forgive me. Question number 34, as you continue to talk. Didn't mean to interrupt you, Elie.
No, it's fine. And then there are other questions that they don't ask that you would think would be logical to ask, like, did you vote for Donald Trump in 2020? Are you a registered Democrat or Republican? But in lieu of those direct questions, they sort of ask these glancing questions like the one you just showed. Are you aligned with QAnon? Are you aligned with Antifa? There's other sort of less out there ways that they try to get at that. They say, where do you primarily get your news? From what source? They say, have you ever been to a Trump rally or an anti-Trump rally? Have you ever worked for or against a Trump political organization. But I'll tell you, Dana, what the lawyers are looking for. Look, the textbooks say we're looking for fair jurors who can call it right down the middle. This is a competitive exercise. The lawyers are looking for jurors who are inclined for their side. If you're the DA, frankly, you want people who dislike Donald Trump. And if you're Trump's team, you want people who support him. I know it's about the facts and the law, too, but let's be real. This is jury selection. This is a competitive exercise.
Which is always, Caitlin, a competitive exercise, no matter what kind of courtroom you're in. Even more so when the courtroom is effectively a very important campaign stop or an important campaign event.
Yeah, and one thing we're seeing right now, Dana, is there's going to be a continued conversation, arguments, motions, very quick decisions that happens outside of the presence of the jury. So they get this jury seated. We're going to go through jury selection. We'll watch that. But what's presented to the jury is not even the only thing that's going to happen in court. So there's going to be what Trump says to the cameras, the campaign type events of him walking in and out. We're not going to be seeing the proceedings live. We're going to be hearing about them through our reporters who are in the room watching. And then there's the legal arguments and then what the jury itself sees.
So this is going to be a taste of what's to come when this hearing starts, and that is, let's go to our reporter who was in the courtroom for that gag order appeal that happened very quickly. Kara Scannell, I believe you were with us. There you are, Kara. What happened inside?
Yeah, Dana, so the judge denied this motion to stay the trial so they could make arguments on the gag order. And, you know, Trump's lawyers came in saying that the gag order is restricting Trump from defending himself in this case. And they said they're seeking limited relief. They want him to be able to address two witnesses who have been outspoken about this case, Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. They also said that Trump should be able to call out what he views as political interference, one of the prosecutors on this case, and focusing on his ability to speak about a motion that has been publicly filed, that is when they've asked the judge to recuse himself. You'll remember the judge had altered his gag order that he put in place to cover his daughter because Trump was focusing on work that she does for Democratic groups. Now, the prosecutors argued that this was much more than what they were asking for. They want to stop the trial so they can make these arguments. They said that this is far too late. They could have brought this case up on appeal once the judge had issued the gag order, even before he amended it, but they waited till now, just 1 week before the trial. You know, how this is going to play out is that this judge denied for now, but a full panel will get briefs on whether to stop this trial based on this argument. Now, those briefs are due on April 15th. That is the day this trial starts. There will not be oral arguments, and the judges will issue a written decision sometime after the 15th once jury selection is underway. You know, that is the first part of this, and then they are going to still try to continue to challenge the gag order even after this initial decision on whether the trial starts on time is made. Dana?
Kara, thanks for running out and giving us that report.